Alright guys, welcome back to the video. So I'm super psyched to be back out in the shop today because I got a couple comments on, not yesterday's video, but the day before that, about how to drill these holes, and I'm it's super exciting. There's no other way to put it. So the first one I want to talk about is from John. What he mentioned is a very good low-cost alternative to what you guys are seeing me do here. So what you guys see me do so far is use the laser levels to, guide the drill bit, and that kind of gives you a little bit of a target to drill on. At 50 bucks a piece, not everyone wants to go and spend 100 bucks on 2 laser levels. So what John recommended is you just take your drill, take a nice large washer, and then you put that on there. Then while your drill is spinning, that washer will show you if your drill is out of angle vertically. So you're just using gravity to help align everything. Now that's really smart. Then along with that, he said that you would put a square or something up at the top there, and you would sight down that to keep your drill aligned horizontally. So that's a really good idea. Now the other comment was from Charlie, and this one hurt when I read it because I am so annoyed with myself that I never thought of this, and that is using a drilling guide, an edge drilling guide. Literally what it's called, or a doweling jig is its other name, but it's literally meant for drilling holes into the edges of things, nice and straight and square to that edge. So the annoying thing is I had this sitting in the cupboard the whole time for both of these projects. All this time when I've been struggling to drill these bolt holes, I had the perfect tool sitting right here. Didn't have to buy anything, didn't need anything fancy. It was sitting right here the whole time. So thank you to both John and Charlie for your awesome recommendations and your help with getting these holes drilled. Okay, so one last time, I just want to say a very heartfelt thank you to Charlie for reminding me about this drilling guide. This literally could have saved me so much time and effort on this whole project, and the last one too. Okay, so not everything was solved with the drill. The drill guide definitely helped, but it also made things a little bit too perfect. Just another issue. This one is actually kind of funny. So because our hole here is perfectly centered on the piece of wood and perfectly straight through, trying to fit the barrel bolt in here is going to be very challenging. Where this barrel bolt needs to sit in order for the bolt to actually bite into it, there needs to be about a 1/4 inch or just over a 1/4 inch material between the bottom of the bolt and the outside of the board. Now the trick is the only bit I have that can drill this is this brad point bit, and the point on it is a 1/4 inch long. So I'm having to make very, very minor adjustments each time and check it. At this point it's really just a Hail Mary that I don't punch through the outside. Now the ideal bit to use here would be a Forstner bit because they generally have a smaller point to them. But of my whole Forstner bit set that I have, I destroyed the 5/8 bit when I needed to drill some holes like a year ago. So I haven't thought to buy a new one. So like I said, all I'm doing is just going very, very slow. And when I say very slow, I mean very slow. I'm letting the drill turn like twice before I take it out and recheck the depth of the barrel bolt here. Okay. The leg is finally on. It's on there nice and solid. It's not going anywhere once this thing is fully assembled. We're all good. Again, the running joke for this past few days is Murphy's Law is alive and well in the shop here. And this is just, again, another perfect example because even though I used the drilling guide and I had a perfectly straight hole running through, this is the only hole on this entire bed where on the outer hole that's actually on the leg and in the main bolt hole, I had to enlarge it to a 1/2 inch to help everything get lined up. That is how just ridiculous everything about this is. But now that we're finally done getting these legs attached, they're all good to go. We're gonna move on and get the footboard glued up. Okay, so another flawless glue up. I really have to say that I love hide glue for gluing up traditional joinery like this. It's just so much easier, so much more relaxing, so much less stressful than using like a Type-On whatever. So that it is a really nice glue to use. And you can see here exactly why. And it's kind of hard to tell, but it is still slightly tacky, which means that I still have time, even now after I've gone through and checked all my joints, made sure that they're all nice and square, all the shoulders are nicely seated up. I still have plenty of time to go back in and adjust things. So that is a really nice thing compared to, even Type-On 3, which has a longer working time. But the caveat to it, obviously, is that it's not as strong as something like Type-On 3. So you can only use it in traditional joinery methods. You can't really use it with something like a domino joiner or that. So I'm going to go take a break for half an hour, eat some lunch. I'm going to let this sit and set up. That way, when I come back out, this will have started to cure and I can move it off the workbench. So then we can pull the headboard pieces back onto the workbench and get them prepped for glue up. Okay, so I've got the headboard all together, nearly killed myself trying to get it off the workbench, but it's on the floor now and I can actually get a good look at how bad my gaps are around all the panels. And I have to say, it's not as bad as I initially remembered it. We do have some mostly in the corners, so obviously the panels have started to kind of cup over the length of them here. Not really a surprising thing. When you have that wide of a piece of wood in there, probably is going to move around on you. So you guys have heard me talk already that my backup plan was to go with plywood. All I'd have to do is buy some 3/4 inch plywood and fit it in here. But as I've thought about that more, there's no guarantee that that's going to be any better of a solution as what we already have in here. Because unless I can get the plywood to be a perfectly tight fit in these grooves, like I should have tried to do with these panels, we're going to have the exact same issue. That plywood over its length is going to start to cup and we're going to get these same gaps showing. So the solution that I've thought of to this is just shimming it out. And that is a pretty easy thing to do and will probably work with these panels unless they're really screwed up. I should also probably mention that this is me kind of being a perfectionist, because I think in 90% of cases, most people are not going to even notice these gaps. Because when you look at the headboard from the front angle, which is where you're going to see it the most, it looks just fine. These gaps are not nearly big enough that I think the average person would figure it out. Now the trick is that the couple that I'm making it for, the husband has done some woodworking stuff, so I want to make sure that this is up to a very high, a very high inspection level standard, not just kind of getting away with whatever I can get away with. So I'm not fully set on going to plywood and all that for the backup, because I do think that there's a way to make the real wood here actually fit and work out. So that's why I'm going for it. But I know that some people might have this same issue on a project and go, well, why do you need to go through and fill all these gaps? Why is it that big of a deal? It's just one of those things where I think I have a way of fixing it, and so I want to make an attempt at that before I just move on and accept it. Because if I have to accept it, if it's just part of having these giant panels in this headboard, then I can explain that to my customer, and that's just part of it. That's just a thing that you have to deal with this kind of a design. But I do genuinely think that there is a solution to this, and it's probably pretty easy. So I'm going to do whatever I can to make it happen. Okay, super glad I didn't go and buy plywood because that works flawlessly. As soon as you just pound a little shim in there, it just pushes the panel nice up and tight against the front edge. And just anywhere where there's a small gap on that front edge, I just have to put in a little shim and it works flawlessly. So I've got this one panel on the right-hand side fully shimmed out, and all we had to do is just a little shim up here, a couple small ones in the bottom corner here, a couple in the top, and then one small one in the bottom corner there. And that's it. There's literally, I think, 6 pieces of wood that I added in the backside here, some doubled up in that. And the panel looks great from the front. It filled in all the gaps, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to go waste money on buying plywood. This does look a lot better than using plywood, I think, anyway. So now we're just going to go through, clean up all of our pieces, and get ready for the glue up. It really is that easy to fix a panel that is sitting loosely in here. I mean, that's just flawless. Alright guys, so we're going to call it a day there. We've got all of the headboard pieces now fully sanded up to 220 grit, all of our edge profiles and everything fits together nicely, which means tomorrow, first thing when I come to the shop, I'm going to get the headboard, or I'm going to drill the holes for the headboard, then we're going to get it glued up. And that's going to be the very first thing we do because, well, we can do it and we might as well get the headboard done. From there, we can move on to cleaning up the footboard and then the side rails, and that's literally finishing stages of this thing. So the end is in sight. It's beautiful to see because once the headboard is glued up, we are basically done the complex part of this project. The rest of it is just sanding and adding in some edge profiles. So I am so excited. As you guys can probably tell from my voice, I am just thrilled to almost be done with this project because I have so many ideas of stuff that I'm going to be doing after we get through this project. I've got so many things in mind, so many projects I want to take on, a few new things I want to try out. All that kind of stuff is going to be coming once we finish with this project. But we still have probably 2 or 3 more days of working on this thing. So I don't want to get too excited because also while I was doing all the sanding on these pieces, my Bosch sander is already starting to die. When you turn it on, it's struggling to get up to its full speed. It does get there eventually, but it struggles a lot on the startup. So that's not going to be good if that dies tomorrow when I have to do all this sanding. But anyway, that is a problem for another day. As always, guys, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.